on the BT Couch, Paula Todd, author of this book right here, Extreme Mean, Trolls, Bullies, and Predators Online, and such a topical read all around, beginning, middle to end. Paula, I'm going to start with this, the idea of how we manage and use social media. It seems like strangers out there feel entitled to undermine others with anger and hate. Where does this come from?
The entitled part is something that I don't think happens very much. That thought process isn't occurring. In young people, we know because their brain structure isn't even there to recognize there's a judgment to be made, or they're following, or they're copying. But what I discovered is there are many reasons that people are cyber abusing each other, not just bullying, but tormenting, posting revenge porn, stalking. Cyber stalking is an adult phenomenon that we don't realize is very big. Right? So the reason that they're doing these things compels them disproportionately to come online and go after you. And the thought of, well, I have the right to do this or that, it's not really part of the thinking.
So we have the tools to be more connected than we've ever been. Freedom of speech is such an opportunity. How do we even begin to manage this process? We've talked many a time with cyberbullying. You're going in and talking about cyber abuse. How do we manage it, and do you think government regulation will prohibit this freedom of speech that we have now?
We can't manage it. I mean, that's the extraordinary thing about the internet, and that's why it works for the good, because there's so many people on it all the time who have the potential to disrupt the way we live that we've got to get rid of that idea, and it goes hand in hand with regulation. Right now, the Canadian government, for example, is trying to allow police officers to access all of your personal information without a warrant, and make it and immunize the people who hand it over, whether it's your internet service provider, or most people don't realize this, or just one of the people you've been writing to. Of course, the Supreme Court of Canada has just ruled that we are entitled to privacy online, so it looks like that federal legislation is going to fall. After all this research, what I've concluded is technology will always move at a pace that we can't capture, and we can help curb cyber abuse, but we need to understand the reasons it's occurring. And that's a huge part of this book, why it's happening.
And you worked and comment on this a great deal in this book about the sad passing of Amanda Todd, and then the online vitriol that Carol Todd, her mother, still experiences surrounding, the controversial case of uploading messages online. What do you take away from the turmoil that entire family has experienced and the backlash still to this day? Well,
Carol Todd is being targeted, and there's a pretty good idea who some of these people are. She's being targeted by people who are misogynistic, who have mental health issues, who don't like the attention that Amanda Todd's memory has generated. And they're part of this. It's not a mean monolith out there. It's not like there's an army of bad people who walk in lockstep and feel entitled to do this to us. It's different people, whether they're drunk or drugged, whether they're suffering from, as I say, some kind of mental illness. Depression is huge online, and it is made worse by being online. So the kind of people who are going after Carol Todd are part of the mean mosaic that's out there. And knowing who's doing it, and that it's not about you, it's about them, it goes a long way to just helping, cope with it.
What's the number one thing that we can all do to start to protect ourselves online?
Well, the number one thing is, yes, you need to don't put stuff out there that can be used against you. We're in the very primitive time of the internet. We're only really 2 decades. It's hard to remember this, but we are pioneers. And when people look back on what we went through, I mean, these will be the ancient times where we saw human beings come into contact with something that allows us 24 hours to be there. There are people who need help online, so don't provide fodder for them. Don't take pictures of yourself, naked pictures, because they can't be taken. Snapchat. I did a huge investigation into Snapchat, and you can read all the details in the book. And basically, if you think that you are assured your photographs are going to disappear in 1 to 10 seconds, you're wrong. So don't rely on it. Everything that goes online is public and it's permanent, it's shareable, and we have to realize that the internet is a communication device just like the telephone.
That has consequences.
It has consequences. It's just that we're just uncertain of this technology right now.
A lot of great commentary in this book. Again, Extreme Mean, Trolls, Bullies, and Predators Online. Great feature in Maclean's magazine. You can pick up and read more about this story and this important message. 7 p.m. tonight, you got a book signing. We're going to put those details on screen. Definitely pick this up. This is a great read, and extrememean.com for details. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, yes.
All right.